absolutely delighted to be joined on the phone by our most recent major winner. Afternoon, good evening, Nathan Aspinall.
Chris, you okay?
Yeah, good mate. Is it sunk in yet?
No, not really. I've not really had time to let it sink in. I've been quite busy the last week or so, but yeah, it's great, and I'm sure in the next couple of weeks when I've got a weekend off, that's when it's probably going to hit me.
Or when you can have a holiday.
Or when I can, yeah.
Well, you were tipped up to do big things. I can remember seeing you at a few local tournaments that you sort of travelled down when I was living in the West Midlands. Used to, you learnt your trade doing what we all did, I suppose, on the open circuit.
Yeah, definitely. I never really played BDO tournaments because I started, like my career kind of started on the PDC youth tour. But yeah, I used to always play local tournaments. The standard in these local tournaments, as you know, is phenomenal. So even in these tournaments where it's 200 quid to the winner, etc., you've got to play your top game to win these tournaments because there's so many good players there. And I think that's helped me with me in my progress. If I've struggling a bit on the tour, I've gone back to doing local comps. I know Simon's done that as well. Northie's done it.
Yeah.
And it really does help you getting that winning feeling back, and they definitely helped me with where I'm at now.
Well, as I know, there's a lot of old school players that may not do BDO or may not do PDC, but they travel the length and breadth of the country, just like you say, playing these little £300 and £400 knockouts, and it certainly sharpens your game as well because it's usually best of 5.
Yeah, it does. Obviously you get a few easier games, but majority speaking, all the comps that I play in locally are so tough to win.
Yeah, especially where you live.
Well, yeah, because you tip up and you look around and you think, right, I've got a good chance today, and then 2 minutes later, Mike Smith pops in and
Chizzy walks in, Darren Johnson.
Precisely, yeah. You're like, might not be quite as easy as I thought this, yeah. But even the people who aren't named players, the county players, they're more than capable of producing good stuff and beating us. So they've definitely helped sharpen my game up.
Well, you picked up your first development tour title back in 2015, and I think that's probably why you took to that development tour like a duck to water, because you were used to playing at such a higher standard. What can you remember about that? Was that a big thing for you, or was it something you expected to do?
It was a big thing for me because I beat Benito van der Pas in the final.
Yeah. Who was playing very well at the time.
Yeah, and I'd just started. I played for a few years prior to the youth tour. Yeah. I think I'd done 1, maybe 2 seasons where like the best run would be like a quarter final, and I was dead happy with getting to that. And I think the year I won my first title was the year I got to the youth final.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the year where I'd won my tour card early on in the year, and that was the time where I started believing in my own ability that I could go far in darts. And when I won that first title, that just gave me more confidence going forward. Yeah.
Is that when you really started to sort of apply yourself? Because I always remember, when I was sort of getting involved with the game, it was, if it comes a little bit too easy, and you're obviously naturally talented, you tend to sort of expect it to happen rather than make it happen.
Yeah, but when I won that first one, you get the hunger for success more. And I wanted more to follow, and after I won that, I went back and I started putting more hours in because I wanted more titles, if you like.
Yeah. Well, did you lose your tour card in 2017?
Yeah. So after the youth final, it kind of hit me really hard. I lost 6-5 to Max.
Yeah.
And I've really struggled to get over that because it was such a big game for me. It would have put me in the World Championships that year.
Yeah.
Subsequently, the money that I would have won would have kept my card.
Yeah.
Because I lost that, I had, X amount of money that I had to win by the end of the year, and I was constantly under pressure. And I was just losing. Week in, week out, I was losing.
What impressed me most about that period, though, mate, is the fact that you reapplied yourself. You obviously the disappointment was there, but then it was the way you responded, and I think, I mean, we've had sort of a laugh and a joke about it, but you seem to love playing in that environment. Do you think going back then, that's what sort of taught you how to maybe toughen up a bit?
1,000,000%. I couldn't agree with you more there. But basically, I lost my card and I was so down. And I know how good I can be, and I believed that no one deserved to be there. But I felt that I put so much work into it. I felt like I belonged on the tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I'd lost my card, I went back to basics. I was going back to all my local comps. As we touched on earlier, they helped me a lot. And but I was just putting more hours in. I kind of at the back end of the year I was getting a bit lazy. The year I lost my card, and I kind of accepted it myself once I lost that. Joe in the second year, I kind of said to myself, "Right, you've lost your card," because I wasn't playing well enough. I wasn't confident enough. So I lost it, and then I went back to basic, practiced like mad, and the year off that I had gave me that hunger, which is something that I lost.
Well, 2018 was incredible. Obviously you bounced back, you regained your tour card. And then, the last 14 months have just been incredible. You picked up your first senior title last year, at Players' Champs 18 at Barnsley. I know you went deep in a few other events, but on this particular day, I remember following it on Dart Connect, and you were absolutely outstanding. En route, Danny Noppert, who was playing at the top of his game, Steve Beaton, who's always tough to beat, Ian White, probably one of the best floor players in the world. And then Ryan Surrow must have been a surprise package in the final, and they're always a little bit awkward because you don't know what to expect.
Yeah, it was. I had before that win, I had a bit of dip in form. I had about 3 or 4 months where I just wasn't winning. I wasn't performing to the level that I believed I should be performing at. And again, I went away and we worked hard on it. And the week before I won, I was a bit down. I was a bit short of cash, and I was going, here we go again. And basically, and my manager was like, "No, pick yourself up. Just go and have a good week." Yeah. And I played Ryan on the first day, Ryan Searle, and he beat me. And obviously, I ended up playing him in the final the day after. And okay, it was a surprise final, but if you look at the tour now, there's so many players going deep into tournaments that even though they've got a tour card, people have still never heard of these guys, and it's you see it for yourself. The standard is so high now.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, they've got to do something. It's getting too hard.
Yeah, well, I just moving away from it. Obviously the development of boards and the technology. Do you think? This is hard to say really because you're a current player. And everybody thinks it's a bit of sour grapes, but do you think the boards have got too big? Would you make them a little bit smaller?
No, not at all. It's I don't know. It's just we all say it like now. If you're not banging 100 averages, losing. What can you do? Really? But then if you make things smaller, the crowd love the 180s, so there's going to be less 180s, etc. So I don't know.
You look at the Challenge Tour and the Development Tour. There's 9 darters and 100 averages going in. Every other weekend. It's just and I understand that because the game's more professional, that there's more professionals than there was in my day, and maybe obviously the players have improved, but. I don't know. I'm probably a bit bitter. That's all. But anyway, go on.
I was on the youth tour on Sunday because I'm sponsoring a young lad on the youth tour from Stockport, and I came back from an exhibition on Sunday from Scotland, and I went up to watch it, and I was just walking around, and you got the likes of Jeffrey Dizwan, Luke Humphreys, Ted Everts, and I'm like, you're still on the youth tour.
I know.
It's like, and then. Taking it away from like the people I've already got tour cards, people that I've never seen in my life, and they look like they're playing well. So I watch the game, and then they're walking off with a 98, 99 average. Kid's 16.
Absolutely. Right.
You got Leighton Bennett as well.
Yeah.
It's frightening, but it's only positive for the game of darts, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, the future is certainly looking rosy. Well, a great 2018 culminated. In an incredible run at the Worlds. Obviously, I was there throughout working for Talk Sport, but What do you? I mean, obviously, there's so much that's happened in the last sort of 2 or 3 months. What can you remember of the Worlds? Is it still a bit of a blur, or have you watched any of it back?
Well, I don't particularly like watching my games back, but I did an interview shortly after the Worlds with The Sportsman. I'm not sure if you heard of The Sportsman. And part of that interview was, talking through how I felt at specific times during all the games. So I've watched clips of all my games back, and I'm glad I did, because it just showed me what a rollercoaster 2 weeks that I had, the emotions up and down, and it was just, it was just brilliant, and even though I lost in the semi-final, I walked off that stage and I was like, wow, I was so proud of myself, my family was dead proud, and, in all honesty, I don't think anyone would have beat Matt Smith that day, and, I gave him a great game, and, because I walked off, held my head high and thought, what a brilliant tournament, and just gave me more hunger for more success.
Well, I said on the radio you should change your name from the Asp to the Minerals, because throughout it you were made to work as far back as, I mean, Gerwyn Price, who we're now sort of talking about as one of the maybe, or playing the darts, making him sort of the second or third best player in the world right now, and he was playing that well back then. I mean, the first 2 sets he hit you with everything, and then you just responded, and I can't say what the crowd was saying, but did you pick up on it?
Well, if you watch the video back, you actually see me stopping laughing.
It was funny.
I've spoke to Gezi after that game, because since then, before the semi-final the other week, he's been smashing me up on the floor. Yeah. He's played phenomenal darts, and I spoke to him over the last few weeks, and I said, I'm not stupid. I don't think I would have won that game without the crowd. They definitely played a big part in it. They got on his back. But I'm up there to do a job. I don't spur the crowd on. They pay the money. They can do what they want.
It's the nature of the beast nowadays. I mean, I can take you far back as Michael van Gerwen's first title, the Grand Prix. He was absolutely getting mullered by Merv King. They played their part in it. When Phil Taylor won his last match play, again, he was playing Michael van Gerwen. They wanted, the old romantics in them wanted Phil Taylor to win, and they made sure he won.
Yeah.
But that's just part and parcel of the game. You then went on to absolutely dominate a player I rate highly, Kyle Anderson, in the last 32.
Yeah, well, I rate him highly as well. He's a phenomenal player. I've played him so many times as well, and I don't think we've ever had a bad game. It's always touching the 100 mark, if not over. And that was the game. Everyone was, after a big game, Price, everyone was going, oh, well, you should have a nice run now through to the quarters, semi-final. Yeah, right. You don't.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, in the next round, you played Devon Peterson, who was just absolutely.
Was a tough game.
Yeah, I mean, you had to dig in there so many times.
I was practicing with Devon for 2 weeks. While we was at the hotel in between matches, because our schedule was pretty much the same. So we'd play, and then we both had a day off, so we'd practicing together. And in practice, I know Devon's a good player, and he's been struggling a bit. And I was watching him practice, going, "How are you struggling?" He just couldn't miss. And then when I played him, he started off like that as well. Luckily he had a few bounce out, well, more than a few, shall we say. But I dug deep again, and got the win.
Yeah, I mean, you are now known for being able to dig deep. But the 2 matches you were convincing in was that Kyle Anderson, and then you played lovely against Brendan Dolan, averaged just a shade under 100, and made it, considering that was your first major, world quarter final, you made it look easy. It's almost like you learnt in that 2 week slot. You took your game to another level. Did it feel like that?
Yeah, couldn't have worded it better myself, to be honest. I've never played in the Worlds, and I've never, before the World Championship, not sure if you know this, but I've never won a game on telly.
No, ever. I didn't know that. That does surprise me.
I think it was something like, as they say in boxing, 9-0.
Yeah.
I'd never won a game on telly.
Yeah, that could be down to me backing you, because I jinxed you probably. That's what that is. I didn't back you once in the World, so I'll send my invoice.
Well, don't back me tomorrow night then.
No, I already have. Sorry.
All right. I'd learned, and every game I played, I was getting that little bit better, an extra percent, an extra couple percent on my averages, and my checkout percents were getting a little bit better per game, and it was more I was growing onto the stage, if you know what I mean. By the end of it, you know, I was going up there. Okay, I had a few nerves, but I was just playing my natural game.
I mean, and the semi-final against Michael Smith, as you said, at times he was unplayable. But I mean, you played your part in what was, you know, historically one of the great World Championship semi-finals. I mean, there was 31 80s in it. Your match average was over 100, but Michael Smith, unfortunately, didn't replicate that in the final, which is always. I was raging when I was in the pub watching that. Yeah, I bet. I mean, I had the same thing. I'd been there myself and thought, well, if you play like that again, you know, you can't lose, and then they tend to go up there. And he played his final against you, but all in all, what it did is what it culminated just 2 months later, back at it again, UK Open, a potential banana skin first round against Tony Alcinas. Before what was another one of my, I mean, you keep doing this. My video collection is getting a bit weird. But you had an incredible match with Christian Kist. Was it nine legs apiece, and you're against throw?
Yeah, and the bull came to my rescue again.
I mean, what a leg that was. I think you went ton 140, 140, or was it ton 180? You went 180 in the leg, didn't you, to leave 121?
I started off with a 180. Something else, and left 87. And I went 17-20 bull for 12.
And almost at that point is where I should have backed you. I tipped you up actually before the tournament. Didn't back you again, so the invoice will be in the post. But that was an incredible match. Then you had what I thought was going to be a tough match for you. Because he's another player that sort of goes under the radar, but someone I rate highly, Madars Razma, and you absolutely spanked his ass 10-2.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with him, but there's something, and I'm not speaking out of turn, there's something wrong with him that weekend. I'd seen him on the Friday night before the Kiss game, and I got on quite well with him, and he just didn't look right. And then Saturday I got there, he had his head in his hands.
Oh, right.
I don't know if something personally might have happened.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't right, and he's a hell of a lot better player than he played against me. I expected a really tough game, in all honesty, and when I went in at 8-2, I couldn't believe it. And end of the day, you got to grab them opportunities, and you got to punish him. You know, absolutely. I'm there to earn a living,
and then Mr. Minerals was at it again. I was working in there in red stage 2, again against a player who I think is going to potentially. Follow in your footsteps, Steve Lennon, and you were 7-3 down, and I got called. I was
having a mare.
Yeah,
shall we say?
I got called to go back and do something else with Jackie in the main studio, and I've walked back, and I've walked out 7-3 down. I'm walking back, and I can hear, I can still, the game's still going on, and I thought, he hasn't surely done it again. And I walked in, and you were on the verge. I mean, again, just when things look like it's too much, it's almost like a Rocky film watching you play darts.
No, it's I'm just one of them. I just don't like losing.
Yeah.
So if I start playing bad, you know, I just try everything. I dig so deep just to try and get that win. And to be fair, I was having an absolute shocker.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, you missed loads of doubles early on.
Oh, it was shy, to be honest, you know, and I went off backstage at the break, and I can't tell you what I was doing, but I was screaming at myself.
Well, it worked.
There was a few explicits in there, and, you know, I came out, and but then when I got back into it, his head kind of went. He busted a 120.
Yeah.
He had an absolute mare on I think he had a 55. No idea what he was doing. But again, I capitalised and I won it.
And then a rock solid performance against Ross Smith. Good to see him back in the mix. And then
great.
And then an absolute thriller against Gerwin Price. I mean, he must be sick of seeing you right now.
Well, he keeps beating me on the floor, and I seem to be winning the ones that the big money ones. So he can keep beating me on the floor as long as I keep winning the TV ones.
I mean, there was one leg in there, 17th leg. And I am going to do a compilation video one day of special legs, and this was certainly that. You were trading 180s. Pricey hit one to leave 41. You hit one to leave 121. and that was the turning point. And again, you found a bullseye finish. I mean, you must.
Yeah.
I mean, what was going on? I mean, it almost feels like for me, because I haven't played for so long, or at that level, that you forget what those moments are like, but they're so special.
That was probably the best moment of the weekend for me. Even more special than the 170.
Yeah.
Because he was coming back in the game, and the reaction of mine, it was kind of, I was buzzing, I was relieved that I hit it. It was everything. I nearly fell off the stage. I started jumping that much.
And Gerwin was fabulous as well. He sort of, he clapped and smiled as if to say, well, that was class. Great sports. He won a lot of friends over that weekend because I think he does get a little bit.
The thing is with Gezi, you know him. He's an absolute gent. He's a great guy. I don't know your opinion, but I really like him. I got on dead well with him, and he gets a lot of stick. And end of the day, I'm doing what he does. I like to show a bit on stage. It's just pure emotion and
he comes
adrenaline.
He comes from a different sport, which is sort of fueled on that
Precisely,
adrenaline and that emotion. So I think at times, we won't go into it because it's been done to death, but I just think at times it came across a little bit like he crossed the line. But since in the Grand Slam, but since then, he's moved on.
He's calmed down. He's definitely calmed down.
And I think he's found the right balance now.
Yeah, you can celebrate. We all celebrate. Yeah. But I think the thing was he was doing it like he'd celebrate, get his darts, and then as he's walking back up the hockey, he'd still be shouting as you're about to throw. Yeah. That's not right. But what he's doing now, and he's proving it. He's playing the best darts of his life.
Arguably, mate, he's playing. I mean, especially on the floor the other weekend. I mean, he had a tournament average on both days just under 102, which is, again, that's just absolutely remarkable stuff.
102, I think he pinged 109 in against me.
Yeah, well, yeah, he had a 109 against you and then a 90 odd against someone else, so that sort of balanced it up. But fair play to him, and I do hope to get off his back at some point and let him play his darts. Yeah, well, I think
to watch, he's one of the best players in the world to watch when he's on.
He silences them, and I always say in commentary, just give them nothing to celebrate about, and they soon get bored and they move on to someone else. But onto the final. Yeah. Both of you looked jaded. I mean, people don't realise it's not just.
Did you say jaded?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not just the physical side of 3 long days with 3 matches. We get our critics going, it's only playing darts. It's sort of like the 2 or 3 hours practice before, and then it's the. It's the mentally draining, all the emotions you go through during a match. Especially some of the games you came through.
Yeah, well, I've just before speaking to you, I've just done another one, and I've just said the same to them. After my semi-final game, I was in tears.
Yeah,
I'm quite an emotional guy, and I had to deal with that. I had to try and pick myself up, brush the tears down, because it means so much to me, though. Yeah. I just want to be the best. Everything I do, I want to succeed and be the best. And that's the side that people don't see. When you're on your own.
Yeah.
Obviously, your managers are there, but you're on your own and you've got to deal with all these emotions yourself. And like I say,
there's nowhere to play safe, or there's nowhere to hide on stage, especially on TV.
No, and it's the physical side of it, because anyone who doesn't really play darts won't understand. But if you're throwing darts for arguably 10 hours in a day, your arm's falling off, and you're going into the biggest game of your life, and you don't feel fresh, and it's so hard to pick yourself up. I just think I had a little bit more. I think I wanted it a little bit more than Rob, and I think that's the reason I won. We both drained.
I think you're a little bit fitter, and you did. You were the one that looked sharper of the two, and I mean, what a way to finish! I remember. I remember Ted Anke doing it in the year that I arguably should have won Lakeside, and then. Colin Lloyd doing it at the match play, and now you sort of join that really exclusive club of winning a major with a 170. Did you? I mean, I've never been in your situation, but I've sort of been in match winning situation. Think, come on, just one time go in for me. Is that what you sort of did in your mind?
I'm glad that he left the finish, because would I have gone for the bull? I don't think I would have. Right, so then it would have gone down. I said this to a few friends. Okay, I won the major, but the performance wasn't great for a darts player. I wasn't too happy with the performance. So I'm glad he left the finish, hence why I went for it. But they go once in a blue moon, and as soon as he hit the second treble 20, you have a split second in your head, and I just knew it was going.
Yeah.
And then when it hit it, obviously my reaction was like, wow.
Wow.
But no, it was a nice way to finish. And, I spoke to Colin Lloyd on the way back on a podcast, and, he wasn't too happy that I took his only guy in the PDC to do it. But records are there to be broken, I suppose.
Absolutely. 14 months have now culminated, top 16 in the world, and then making your debut, not as a contender on Thursday night, but as a major winner, and you get the chance, of course, a little bit of revenge on Michael Smith, who beat you in the Worlds.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. It's a pinnacle of the sport, Premier League. Wow, I never thought I'd be in this position so quickly into my career, but I've got to grab it with both hands. And I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I'll get the revenge because he's playing for points. I'm to be playing for the experience.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. And I'm sure, like the world, it'll be a great game.
Well, it's a win-win for you, isn't it? It doesn't matter what. Ultimately, the results doesn't matter. It's almost your opportunity to sort of showcase and thank everyone for your support. It's your first time on TV since winning the UK Opens, and it is. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing you play.
It is.
I'll do you a favour and I'll back Michael Smith just to make sure you win.
Nice one. And if I do, then I'll give you what you would have won on me. It's a deal.
and then straight on to is it Pro Tour this weekend?
Yeah, see, this is my only problem that I've had. So I had a few friends coming up, so we're going to go and have a couple of drinks Thursday night to celebrate it. But they brought the European Tours forward on Friday, so I'm playing at 12.
The European Tour qualifiers? Yeah,
Friday. So it's a case of playing the game, doing my press, and then driving over to Wigan, ready for Friday.
Oh, nice one. The joys of being a pro dart player. Well, absolutely, absolutely looking forward to seeing you on Thursday night. Thanks a million. I know you're.
No problem.
Are you practicing on your own today, or are you having a session with somebody?
No, I'm on my own today. I'm going to do about another hour, and then I'm going to go home, see the missus, and off to Nottingham I go.
Perfect. Thanks a million for your time, pal.
No worries, mate.
And I'll see you soon. Take care, buddy.
Pal. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Bye.